Mr Deputy President, I rise to speak this evening on an issue of significant importance to the people of Port Macquarie, the sale of a parcel of Crown land known locally as the Plaza car park. Indeed, this issue is not unknown to this House. The proposed sale of the car park to Woolworths and the process undertaken by the Department of Primary Industries to reach this point has been the cause of much community concern and anger for quite some time. We in the Labor Party have repeatedly asked questions of the Minister for Primary Industries, Lands and Water in this place, and members of the crossbench have likewise brought the issue to the attention of the House in recent times. The significant community concern around the questionable sale process, as well as the confused positions of government members, has led me to make this contribution this evening in the hope of drawing out a more reasonable response from Minister Blair, as well as the member for Port Macquarie, who I am told is still convinced that this sale enjoys public support. Of course, the actual community concern that does exist, and which seems to have been missed by the local member, has culminated in the tabling today of a petition against the sale and against the process undertaken by the Minister and his department. This petition, with over 12,000 signatures collected in about 4 short weeks, is but a snapshot of the dissatisfaction felt acutely by the people of Port Macquarie. I witnessed this myself when I visited just over a week ago. Over and over again, I was told by concerned locals that this piece of treasured public land was being snatched away from them for profits, and they felt steamrolled by a process which was always going to ignore the wishes of local residents. Indeed, I was struck by the high level of knowledge and support by even those just walking by the table. For the benefit of the House and possibly the member for Port Macquarie, the petition states, and I quote, the Plaza car park located between the Coolumbung Creek, Hastings River foreshore and Short Street, Port Macquarie, which is currently Crown land, must stay in public hands and not be sold to Woolworths. The local community believes it was not properly consulted when the decision was made by the government to sell the Plaza car park site to Woolworths. The community is concerned and angered at the opaque process which has been followed by the Department of Primary Industries in relation to the sale of this public land solely for commercial profit against the wishes of local residents and without adequate consultation. As I mentioned, the petition garnered more than 12,000 local signatures and now serves as an undeniable indication that Port Macquarie does not want this piece of Crown land sold off. The petition is a credit to the local campaigners who set out to make sure community opposition to this sale is well known. In particular, I should acknowledge Christy Quill and Peter Baxter, as well as Port Macquarie Mayor Peter Besseling, who have all contributed to this campaign. And the Shadow Minister for Lands, Mick Veitch, who has been tireless in his dealings with the local community, listening to local concerns and putting those concerns to this House. Indeed, the Honourable Mick Veitch's motion, which is currently on the notice paper, is a succinct timeline of events relating to the sale and is telling reading for why the community has been so upset with this process and this government. First, there was a draft plan in 2010 which received 160 public submissions. In 2012, this government ignored the initial draft plan and instead commenced exclusive negotiations with Woolworths. An updated draft plan was placed on exhibition in 2013 and received 239 submissions. This too was ignored, and yet another iteration which removed commitments for communication and community involvement was adopted by this government. In 2014, the Port Macquarie Hastings Council requested an opportunity to be involved in negotiations, but after a short 3-week expression of interest process, in 2015, the government announced Woolworths was the preferred candidate. Now, whether or not it's convenient for those opposite to admit, the local community in Port Macquarie feel like this process was flawed. They feel like it did not take into account their concerns, and ultimately they feel it was a bogus process set up to favour one outcome and ignore the rest. So while the member for Port Macquarie continues to deny that her community objects to this sale, we are firm in our support for the people of Port Macquarie and will continue to advocate until the government pays attention. Now, last week, Minister Blair told this House the sale was not finalised. He said, and I quote, "It is important to note that no final decision has been made on the future of this site." Well, I hope then the Minister takes note of the petition tabled today.